Do you know that each and every one of you in this room is connected at a level that you can't see? Have you ever been in a situation where you think about someone and then you see them or they contact your phone? Isn't it interesting when stuff like that actually happens? I truly believe that everyone is born with some sort of purpose. There's no one that looks like you. There's no one that sounds like you. Same with you. Same with you. Same with you. Same with you. You're yet to know. But I just want to say this, and I don't want to sound cheesy when I say it, but you all are absolutely amazing just as you are right now. I don't actually care what you have been through in your life. I don't care what people have called you, or they've labelled you, or whether you're a high school dropout, college dropout, university dropout. Who cares? Because you want to know something? Whatever's happened that has led you here today has been absolutely relevant and necessary for your personal journey. Me, I'm just saying words as they come out of my mouth. I've not necessarily prepared anything today because I trust the process just like you have trusted yourselves to be here today and not necessarily know what was going to happen. I truly believe each and every one of us has to trust that process we call life, even if it gives us all the bashings and the negativity and the labels and people letting you down and shattering your confidence, lowering your self-esteem, telling you that you can't actually do anything in life, or because you have a criminal record you can't do this, or you can't get no job, or you can't go to university because you didn't get the grades or whatever. All of that's a bunch of crap. That's just a piece of paper. But that doesn't define who you are. It doesn't define what you are. Because I'm talking beyond what you can physically see. And I think to get you to kind of understand, I need to explain a little bit of my own personal story and what's actually led me to be here and actually say what it is I have to say to you today. Like Jason said, my name's Samuell Benta. That's not what I am. It's not who I am. It was a label. It was a name that was given to me at my birth by my mother and my father. But that's not what or who I am. What I am cannot be defined because I'm infinite, just as you guys are infinite. You have so much potential that you probably are unaware of it. Society will never teach you that you can be the best you can be. Because there's so much distractions with all the negativity going on, all terrorists, all murders or gangs and all of that nonsense. And I think all that is there to just distract you. Don't get too caught up in all that madness. Because you are here for a reason. You are here because you have a mission to fulfill. There's no accident you're here. There's no accident you're in this room. Where does a person's journey begin? Does it begin in the womb? Or does it begin when something totally traumatic happens in your life? I can tell you where I think things started with me. I don't necessarily say it was when I was born. I think it started to kind of happen when I started to receive a lot of stuff that's happened to me in my life, which I can necessarily say that I'm not proud of. But I'm very grateful for all the experiences that's happened with me. And I want you all to really embrace the crap that goes on in your life. Because when you embrace it, I'm telling you, you'll find out it's all relevant. Think of a timeline. Think of it where you've got your past over here and you've got your future over there. So you're born, and then you move on, age 1, age 2, age 3, etc., etc., etc. You know there's going to be an end. The question is, where do you really start? So you're born, but that's not necessarily where you start. Where you start is when you become aware of, this is my beginning. Like Jason said, this is about self-awareness and confidence. Because you know what? I truly believe everyone in here can be a lot more confident than they are right now. You have probably decided to do certain subjects of study that you thought was acceptable, but not necessarily the ones that you wanted to do. Or you've chosen a job that you found You could be very comfortable, but it's not what you really wanted to do, was it? See, in this thing called life, this quote-unquote thing called reality kicks in, where, oh, I have to conform and do what my mum or dad said, or what the teacher said, because that's the only way I'm going to get employed, so all my dreams just go right out the window, and that's it. Then you get into your 30s, or your 40s and your 50s, and deep down, what rises back to the consciousness is what you wished you could do. And you keep on knocking it out the way and saying, I can't do that. There's no accident you're here today. But I'll tell you one thing that happened to me. I think it's very relevant. One thing I will say is, I'm quite raw with how I talk. I do not apologize for anything that I say, because I truly believe you are all here to hear what it is I have to say today. So I'm going to go all the way back down the timeline, if you remember that. So yes, I was born. You've got many little lovely, beautiful children in here. We've got little Leah over there, okay? They're open. They're walking around. They're running around over here. And they're not necessarily thinking, ooh, what's that person thinking of me? I'm going to keep my mouth shut. They're not thinking of that, because they are, as you should be, just being. They're human beings. They have all that potential running around, not giving any thought. But as you start to get older, you start to build your own mental prisons. This is where you start judging yourself and you start judging others, and when the fear kicks in and you start getting scared and you have to put on some mask, or this mask, I must conform, I have to be this way or dress this way to be accepted, or that person's not going to like me, or she ain't going to like me, or he ain't going to like me, and all these labels come in, and then you start to define yourself as I'm this, getting into what I call describer world. We need to get to defining what you are. Defining why you're actually here. Do you ever really think about that on a daily basis? I mean, really? Or are you just thinking of EastEnders? Or are you just thinking of what is Azealia Banks gone and said now? Or what's 50 Cent doing? Have you ever thought to ask yourself, what are you doing? Have you ever thought to ask yourself, where are you going? Have you ever thought to ask yourself, am I wasting my time? Who am I hanging around with? Who is my circle of people? Do they empower me? Do they disempower me? If they disempower me, why am I around them? Because I believe I can have it. Yes, I can. Because I'm here for a reason, aren't I? So going back down the timeline. When I was 10 years old, I was probably like running around doing my thing. But you want to know something? When I was 10 years old, my parents, they used to play pool. They do a lot of sports stuff together. They used to play pool, win a whole load of tournaments and stuff like that. And I remember when I was 10, my grandma also passed away. My grandma was like my best friend. And I pretty much shared everything with my grandma. I love her to pieces. God bless her soul. So, my mum and dad used to go out on every Wednesday evening, and they used to leave me and my two brothers at the time. We used to have a babysitter. Wasn't far from where we actually lived. And I remember it like it was yesterday. You'd go in and there was this weird, horrible smell when you walked in the house. And there's weird sense when you walk in certain people's houses. It's like, what the hell? Something died in here, man. What's going on? You see what I'm saying? So here's the thing. I remember everything. I remember the pets they had. I remember the fishes in the tank. I remember the cat called Pippa. The dog was called Pippa and the cat was called Tish. Don't ask me why, it just was. But I'll tell you one thing. When you're 10 years old, there's a lot you don't know. There's a saying, what you don't know won't hurt you. What you don't know will hurt you. And you're yet to find that out. You've probably already experienced it. Because when I was 10, I was molested by my babysitter for 2 years. Every Wednesday evening. Couldn't tell my family. It was embarrassing. stuff I had to witness at that age, the stuff I had to see at that age, and I had to hold within to myself. Never told anyone about any of that. For 8 whole years, never told anybody. And then it got to the high school years. Year 7, I'm sure you've all remembered when you was in year 7. You're kind of still like primary school children, aren't you? Where you're running around. Then year 8 kicks in. And all that kind of just starts to slow down, doesn't it? Do you want to know something? Year 8 was my worst year of school. I got bullied. I'm talking, when I say I got bullied, I mean verbal abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse, and I'm telling you, I got it. I didn't have the haircut I have today back then. My mum used to cut my hair, and trust me, everyone knew about a bad haircut. I heard it all the time. But when you consistently start to hear things from people, you start to really think about yourself, and then you kind of start to question, am I all right? What's wrong with me? I never had name brand shoes. I never had no name brand trainers. My parents couldn't really afford it. And this was when I was introduced to gangster rap. Hadn't really heard any hip hop, but these were the times I was starting to listen to it. And, oh, that shit's heavy, man. Beats, man, yeah, woo, gangster shit. It was great. But I did not know that that's where subconsciously my ideas of relationships came from. I was being taught how to have a relationship. I was being taught being bad's cool. It's acceptable. Girls will like it. Yeah, they want a bit of a bad boy. Because you know what? Sam was too nice. Sam was too clean. So I thought, oh, I'm not fitting in. I ain't fitting in with these lot. I weren't with the cool crowd at school. I was kind of a bit of a loner during then. So I thought, okay, they want a bit of a bad boy. During these times, I was doing paper rounds. You don't know what paper rounds in the morning with the bikes and that, yeah? So I went to a local newsagent. I worked at a local newsagent, and I remember the person who ran the shop lived at the top of the newsagents. They lived there. And I said, do you know what would be so cool? Let's test out this bad boy stuff by robbing the place. That would be great to tell at school, wouldn't it? That would be a very good story to tell. So one evening, well actually no, one early morning, it was about 5 in the morning, these times it was dark in the morning. I remember, I got out of my bed, and I got my woolly hat. I put it on my head, and I cut the holes in the eyes, so it could kind of disguise. No one would know who I was. No, I did not have a gun, but I tell you what I did have. I had one of those long metal rods that you use to sharpen knives with in the kitchen. And I remember, I took it with me. And if you just picture the shop right here, and the upstairs light switched on. And I remember there was a brick wall right here. And I had it on. And I remember everything that was going on in my head. This is going to be interesting at school. I really have to do this. This is going to make me get accepted. And I have to go and do this. I have to fit in. People need to like me. So I'm going to go and prove myself. And I said nothing was going to stop me from robbing this shop. And even if I have to use this thing, I'm going to use it. I don't care what she says. I don't really know this person. So, I remember, as she came in, she went up to the door, and she was coming up to the door, and she put the lock in the door. And as I saw her, I remember I got up from the brick wall, and I remember I was kind of creeping up behind her, kind of looking to see if there was anyone on the road. And I was kind of just looking. There was no one there, and I thought, this is the chance. This is that moment. This is that moment I am now going to do what I have never done before. I never knew that this moment was going to define what else was going to happen in my life. And I remember, as she was going up to the door, I went up there, and I pushed her through. I said, get on the floor! Then I threw the bag at her and I said, put all the cigarettes in the bag. I want all the cigarettes, all the phone cards. I want all the money. And my heart was pumping. It was pumping. And I had this thing, and I said, I'm going to use it if you don't do what I say you to do right now. You're going to do exactly what I tell you to do. I want you to go in there, and I want you to put all the cigarettes in the bag. And she was crying, and I told her to do it. Shockingly enough, as I stared at this woman, crying her eyes out, I could not believe that there was so much power in what I was doing. And strangely enough, I was being empowered by what I was doing. Yeah, I knew there was a part of me that, yeah, it was bad, but I didn't care. Because I knew what the results were going to be. And I left there with £1,000 in cash. I had all the cigarettes and all the phone cards. I even had one-to-one back in the day. You remember one-to-one? Those you oldies in here. And I remember when I went back to school, man, I was the talk of the school, man. Oh my days, I had phone cards to sell, I had cigarettes. Oh man, I even bought the Averex jacket. All the girls love the Averex. They love the Averex. I had professional haircuts that day, had the slits in my eyebrow, you know. I was like, yeah, the girls love the slits in the eye. You girls are messed up, man. What about the slits in the eyebrows for? But why I say this is because this is where I learned self-image is so important. So I'm going to put on whatever act I can, because you know what? People buy perception. They really do. And you all buy perception. Yes, you do. I bet most of you don't even realize why you do what you do at times. Most of you will probably do things for second gain, and you don't really know why you do it. Do you know your behaviours stem from something unconscious that you can't consciously think about? Do you know what you listen to and what you watch actually controls you and teaches you how to think? Do you even know how to think? Or have you been taught what to think? Because when I looked at myself back then, I thought, why am I doing this? Well, it's only when you learn so much and you look back and then you realise why I actually did this. But you want to know something? That it did not stop at high school. Oh, things grew. I said, oh, I need bigger things. I need to sell some bigger stuff at school. So I went to HMV, stole some CDs, did that. That went great. Years later, I was 18 years old and I was in an American prison. American prison. I'm not going to say what for, but I can tell you exactly what happened in there. I was the only British guy in there. I remember when I pulled up in the van, chained to these big guys. I'm talking, you're chained by your hands and you're chained by your feet as well. And you see the barbed wire at the top with the fence, and then you walk in. Oh my goodness. You think you've seen some scary stuff in your life? I mean, really, you've seen it in movies, but have you seen it in real life? I know we've all heard of slavery. I never thought I'd experience it. Because when you're chained to a rapist, when you're chained to a murderer, when you're chained to a robber, when you are chained to these people, I'll tell you, I remember one guy called Tom who decapitated his own daughter's head. I was chained with him. The stories you hear, the things you see. I remember being in a ring with all these inmates and the guards in this prison. They wanted to play around with all of us. And what I mean by that, it's gather them all in a ring. It's a fight to the death. Oh, we'll just make out that, you know, they just got in a fight and they died. Do you know what it's like to witness deaths literally right in front of you for so-called play? It was a fight to the death. I even saw a dog maul a guy's face off. And you think it's a pretty sight. And I remember whilst I was in there, I thought to myself, you know what? All my friends in London, they really have no idea what gangster shit really is. They don't know. They just want to stand on the corners thinking they know it all because they saw someone in a hip-hop music video and thought, oh, I'm going to dress like that. Or I'm going to do this or smoke this or drink this because I saw it and it's cool. But you think you're some sort of bad man, or you think you're some sort of bad woman with some sort of attitude. You try being chained to those kind of people. You try seeing exactly what I had to go through in that prison. Because I'm telling you right now, that will be a paradigm shift for you. And I'm telling you, you will bow down and you will beg for forgiveness and you will change your ways. You think it's a funny thing? This is your life we're talking about. I don't know how old any of you are, but time's ticking. It's just ticking away. You're wasting your time. You think when you get out of school or college or uni, it's over? Whoever taught you that shit? It's not over. It hasn't even begun yet because you still don't know why you're here. What's your voice? What's your voice? What is your mission? What are you here to do? Because if it's not to serve others, you're wasting your time. But you want to go out and take. You want to go out and take. Not knowing anything about universal laws where you must give to receive. And you think success comes easily? Huh? Do you think it comes easily? You got to put the work in. Oh, you really have to put the work in. How the hell can you expect to receive something so big when mentally you ain't even strong enough to receive it? Try holding a house. Go outside now and go hold a house. Can you do it? No. Because you're not strong enough to do it. And I'm not talking physical strength here. I'm talking mental and spiritual strength. The awareness to know and the wisdom to know what's right and wrong. Some of you are mothers. Some of you are fathers. What you don't fix, your kids inherit. So you need to fix up. You need to become aware today. Make a decision today. That I want to change my life because I value myself and I value my children. How can I teach my daughter or my son to follow their dreams when I ain't even started mine yet because I weren't confident enough to do it? I didn't have the self-belief to do it. But you dare tell your children, be all you want to be. You be the leader. You lead by example. How the hell are they supposed to expect they can achieve? They don't learn by what you say. They observe what you do and what you don't do. And then as they grow up, a replica of their mother or a replica of their father, you're wondering, what on earth's wrong with my son? What on earth's wrong with my daughter? You looked in the mirror lately? I've been married. I got married early. I got married at 22. I got divorced at 25. I have a 6-year-old daughter. Does she live with me? No. Do I love her? Yes. Do I want the best for her? Yes. I'm sure you all love your children, don't you? You want the best for them, don't you? Then if you want the best for them, why don't you start putting yourself first? Why don't you start putting yourself first and just look in the mirror, just ask yourself, who am I? Why am I here? What am I doing? Or if I am doing something, is it really what I want to do? Is it? Is this really what I want to do? Was I born to be a cashier? Was I born to be at the bottom of the chain? This event's called Justified Kings. That's what you are. And if you're female, you're a justified queen. That's your next event. You're a justified queen, you're a justified king. You need to find out exactly what the hell does that mean. Too busy looking outside for answers. All my life, I have been knocking and knocking and knocking, and when the door finally opened, I realized I was knocking from the inside. And everything I needed was there, all the answers I needed. How many of you meditate? Not a lot of you. Okay, well that's a key word for you to go and Google when you get home. Because I'll tell you this now, if you don't start looking all the way back to where you came from, and all these practices with the body, understanding yourself, even the very things you breathe. How many people smoke here? Or do you not want to put your hand up because you know I'll pick you? Okay, you smoke. Thank you for being absolutely honest. Thank you for having the courage to be honest. You're killing myself, brother. But you want to know something? I don't judge you. I used to smoke as well. Then I realized I was killing myself, but that made me stop. Because I thought, well, if I'm smoking, that means my child will be smoking. How can I tell the child, don't smoke? But, Daddy, you're smoking. We have so much responsibility. We have so much responsibility. But you want to know something? I don't know each and every one of your stories or where you have all come from. I know you've probably had some failed relationships in your time. Probably going through a crappy one right now. Aren't you? How many boyfriends or girlfriends have you gone through, really? Who was your first kiss with? Come on now, we're adults. Oh, did the image of the guy or girl pop up to your mind? Did they? Was it a nice experience? Come on now, we're adults here. Why is he saying this to me? Why is he putting these images in my mind for? You can leave your boyfriend. You can leave your girlfriend. They're not your issue, my friends. You're only dealing with a perception of yourself that you choose to not acknowledge and fix. So you can play around. You can speed date. You can go around and find the next man or the next gal or the next this and the next that. You'll never find your true peace until you find your true peace with yourself, though. Some of you, who in here is married? Thank you. Who desires to be married? Next question. Who believes they can get married? I'm seeing less hands in the room. I guess the question then comes to, well, what is marriage? What is marriage really? What is it? It's just a piece of paper that says, hi, I'm your husband. Do you want to know something? And this ain't no stand-up comedy. I don't find myself funny at all. People's behaviours change sometimes, don't they? Oh, we're boyfriend and girlfriend, let's get married. It's still the same. Of course it's still the same. It's a piece of paper. I can give you a piece of A4 and write down congratulations. Because what I'm trying to get you to think about is, this is relationships with yourself. You're going to be with someone Do you get along? Do you enjoy each other? More importantly, do you love yourself? Because if you don't love yourself, how can you love the other person? Otherwise, it's a business transaction. Oh, you don't do this? Fine. I'm gonna find someone else. How many times has that happened? Find someone else. He ain't pulling his weight. He said this. He didn't click like on my picture on Facebook. Your gut. Oh, it's complicated. Oh, we're separated. Social media. I just want to touch on that very quickly. Don't get too addicted to these social media sites. Because you're probably addicted right now. You know, once upon a time, I'm sure the elders in the room probably didn't have any internet. No? No mobiles? People, let's get back to being old-fashioned, where we can look people in the eyes and say, hey, what's your name? Andre, lovely to meet you. I don't want to click like. I'm not interested in clicking love or who the hell wants to see that? Don't get so caught up in your virtual reality. It's not real. Most of the... do you know most of what you see on TV is not real? But you will believe it to be real. You watch EastEnders. Oh my gosh! Did you see what's her name did? And I know because I was in it. It's a script that was written. A script that was written for entertainment to entertain you. The problem is you've been entertained. You believe the reality, you act out the reality, then you wonder why your lives are so crap. You wonder why you have certain relationships. Did Mommy teach you how to kiss? Yeah. She didn't. Did she teach you how to do other things? Why I'm saying this is because you got the idea from somewhere, most probably in your media, which is where the root of most of your problems will come from. If you are not self-aware to know what is real and what is not, you're going to fall short and you're going to fail time and time and time again. Relationship after relationship, job after job, business after business. And then you think to yourself, my gosh, I'm 30. 10 years have gone by. What happened? Then you start getting into that so-called 30 mode, and then it's that age where I should be married by now, I should have my children, I should have my business set up, or I should be in a secure job, even though I'm not a fan of them. But what I'm saying is, we have to get back to where are we and who are we. I challenge each and every one of you today. Ask yourself, who are you? Why am I actually here? Why do I choose to dress the way I dress? Is it my decision really? Or was that just an idea impressed on my subconscious mind, which is the part of me that if it touches it, it will become my reality? Do you know you can have anything you actually want in life, regardless of your grades? Richard Branson. Drop out. Clue? Clue. Too much distractions. We need to focus on what it is we want. We need to remember who we are, where we came from, and take some action. Otherwise you'll get to 60, and that's the only time you'll understand WTF. Or OMG. But of course, if you want to rely on government, go ahead. How have they helped you today? Why am I trying to impress? Stop trying to impress people, guys. You know who you are. Stop trying to impress people. If anything, impress yourself by becoming the best you can be. Because when you become the best you can be, naturally it will impress others. And guess what? You don't have to try so hard, because it naturally shines from you, because you're being it. I want to thank Jason and Kyle for this event. I want to thank them for believing in me to stand up here and share this message with you. My name is Samuell Benta. Feel free to talk to me afterwards. Let's share something.